rise to the top, can't stop this flow. In the heart of the jungle, we're ready, let's go.
When I'm editing, so. But yeah, so super cool. I think obviously Dustin kind of showed me a little bit about your Instagram and stuff like that. So I kind of got to see kind of what, obviously you're a big fitness person, and that's awesome. And it sounds like you had a tremendous like weight loss journey, and we were into like, it sounds like, or looked like actual competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I did bodybuilding, and so then you compete, and that's like a whole wild journey in itself. So from the time I started like my fitness journey to being able to step on stage, I had lost 100 pounds in order to do that. And I had never even like really lifted weights or like anything like that before. But it all honestly kind of started when I turned 30. I don't know. Do you want me to just like start diving into this whole thing?
I love it.
Okay.
Let's just
go.
All right, let's go. Okay. So yeah, I turned 30, and that was like a midlife crisis for me, honestly. I know people say like midlife crisis is like when you turn 40 or 50 or whatever, but for me it was 30. And I had like up to that point been super, super driven. I'm still a very driven person, but I was really motivated by like money and career and title, and like that was like what my like self-worth was really wrapped up into. And I was also like really good at it. I was really successful, and I was able to work my way up to being a vice president of a finance company, and I worked there for 10 years. So I was literally started out as like a little baby and like grew there. And I remember in my first interview there, they're like, "What do you want to do here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll be your boss one day. That's what I'm here for." And I'm just like this little 20-year-old, and these guys are interviewing me, and they're like, "This girl, like, calm down." And then a couple of years later, I was in fact their boss, and I was like, "I told you guys, like that's what I came here for." Yeah, yeah. And my journey there of like becoming into leadership and all of that was also a start of that journey too, because that was really like my mindset transformation. Like I started to realize whatever you want to build or create in your life, you have the power to do that. It's all about like your mindset. And so that started me on this whole evolution within my mind of like, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do? And I got really clear on like creating vision boards all the time, and I would manifest that, and it just all would happen. And I always also chose like to get mentored. So I was really lucky, and I had a lot of great mentors in my life that, and I think anybody can have any mentorship you want if you ask people and if you'll actually do what they tell you to do. Because if you don't take any of the advice they give you and you're like, "Okay, yeah," they're like, "Cool, like I'm not gonna help you." Like I will give you roadmaps, and like people that have been successful will teach you their tricks, and you'll still have to learn your own element within that. But if you do nothing with it, like people aren't going to mentor you and want to help you. But what I found is that if I would take what people would teach me and I would run with it and make it happen, like it was limitless of the people that would take me in and teach me. And I was also not afraid to ask, and that also just got me out of my comfort zone. And so that was like the part of like my mindset and like just kind of like finding myself confidence in a direction and all of that. And I found success in that. But as far as like physical and like my body, that was like not at all where it was there. Like I was addicted to food. I was addicted to sugar. I drank all the time. Like I partied hard. Like I worked hard. I played hard type of a thing, you know? And me and my ex-husband, that was also kind of just like our lifestyle. Like we met when we were 18. We met at a party. He had a pink backpack full of beer, and I was like, "Yo, can I have a beer?" And then that's how we met. And then we just never stopped hanging out. And we got married super young at 20, because like if you're here in Utah, that's just what you do.
Pretty common.
So yeah, so all our friends are getting married. We're like, "Okay, well, we should get married." We didn't ever live together. He like wanted to move in together. I'm like, "No, like not until I'm married," and like all these things. So we got married, and we were married for 10 years. So this kind of brings me back to my beginning of my point. So on my 30th birthday, like heading up to my 30th birthday, like 6 months prior to that, I started just really like, what do I want to accomplish in my life? Like everything that I've wanted so far, business-wise, I have achieved. Like we had the house, we had the cars, we have vacations, we have all these things. Like I've done all that, but I'm not happy. Like I'm not fulfilled. And I took that as like, okay, what do I want in my life? And me and my ex-husband, he's a great man, he's a great dad, and I have nothing bad to say about him. And we co-parent so well, and I'm so grateful for that. But like we were just really good friends, and we weren't like, there wasn't like chemistry and romance and all these things, but we had just been like really good partners in the sense of like, okay, we both want to achieve this, like let's do it. But like ultimately I was kind of like a pusher. Like I was like, "I want this, this, and this." And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, if we do, it's okay." And I'm like, "No, we're going to do it. Like, let's go." And he's like, "I mean, I'm like, bro, I need you to like step up with me, you know?
Let me interject here. Was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
hard for you?
Yeah,
did
that's why we got divorced, right?
Yeah,
Like an
did
element
that
of
put
that.
you like? Did it bring on like depression or anything like that?
I
Or
would say it
just sour
more
taste?
like emotionally made us disconnect.
Okay.
And yeah, so there was just like this giant separation of that. And I kind of felt like I was like always pulling him towards like my direction. And he was always so supportive of like anything I wanted or goals or anything like that. But I wanted him to come to me and be like, hey, we're going to do this. And like, I'm going to make this happen and this versus me doing that. So I felt like I was very masculine. And I also really was very masculine at that time, because go back to like what I told you, my mindset was so career driven. And not to say that women cannot be career driven and be feminine. And we will get to that now later. Like, just pause your horses before you start coming at me. Okay. But for me, in order to, I was very young in a very like male dominant position, and also usually like someone in their late 30s, 40s, 50s. And like, so all the other people I worked with, my seniors, were in that age group. And then here I am, this little 25-year-old, I get promoted and I'm like telling over 200 people that I'm your boss, and I'm 25 and they're like, this bitch doesn't know a thing, you know? And I'm like, respect me. So I also kind of became like bitchy in that sense. Like, I had to kind of own myself in a different way and like own my presence in a different way. And I had to learn how to like kind of demand respect in that sense. And so because of that, I also started, I would say along with that, part of my weight that I put on was also like protection and like rigidness and like this like stiffness. And that also, I took that home into my husband. Like, I'm like, well, you gotta do this, this, and this. Like, don't talk to me like I'm one of your employees. I'm like, well, then, yeah. Like, it was just like, so I was also like demasculating to him, and I can see that now, but at the time, I couldn't see that. And so there was just different things that were happening in our lives. Yeah. So I kind of like circled your question there, but.
No, that's good. I was just curious if that like made you feel a certain way, was all.
Yeah, made me like just feel, I guess, resentful would be the word if you were to pick a word with that.
I like that.
Is it? And
Well, I don't. But.
I don't feel like, I don't want to bash on your ex or anything, but sometimes I had kind of dealt with that in my relationship for a long time, where sometimes I took a step back, and your partner really wants you to lead.
Yeah.
They want to give you, I won't say the baton, but they want to see you go forward.
Yeah.
But sometimes mentally we just, I don't know, we just drop the ball.
Yeah.
Like we really do.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a woman that's a go-getter, that, that needs to, let's go.
Yeah.
They will go.
Yeah.
And I think we hear this a lot, right? Where as a good relationship, as a partner, you're going to go, and you hope that your partner's like, okay, I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
And I think it's a give and take. I don't know if you agree.
For sure.
Like, I think there's certain areas where one would lead better.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a powerful woman, you definitely need a male that's going to be like, yeah, I got you. I got this. Let's go this way. We're doing this. We're doing that.
Yep.
And it's important because you are that person.
Yeah.
And
I kind of needed a man to like tell me to sit down, like sit down, be humble, kind of like put me in my place a little bit. And that just wasn't going to happen from him. And that's fine. Like, that's just not his personality.
Right.
And he's a phenomenal man. So I don't want anybody to take anything
exactly.
from that and think anything different. But at the end of the day, we got married when we were 20, and like, you just don't know who the hell you are when you're 20, or like really who you're going to become yet. Yep. Not to say that your relationship can't last, but it also takes like constant communication and constant like coming back to the table of like, okay, here's where I'm at now. Like, are we aligned? Like, what's going on? Like, I want you to stay on this journey with me, but I also understand like I can't force you or control you, and like, and that's okay too. Like, you're allowed to evolve, especially from the age of 20 to 30. Like, you change so much. You change so much. And I really try to tell my kids, I'm like, y'all can't get married till you're over 30. Like, this is just
well, you go through the
I
party phase, right?
Yes.
Especially at 20, because I was married young too.
Yes.
You go through like, okay, you're together, you know each other, and then you turn 20. Especially, I was a little bit older than her, so I turned 21 before she did. And so as we started going through our relationship, by the time I was over partying, she was ready to party. Yeah. And so, and you, like you said, you evolve, and you hope that your communication is, there where you can say, hey, we're going this way. Yeah. Are we aligned? Are we still on that path together? Because then you start kind of, and that's in any relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
You start
Yep.
drifting apart, whether it be
100%.
through
was gonna
your
say,
corporate work.
Well, and I think like relationships, if you kind of bring it almost like in a business aspect, like in a business, you have weekly check-ins and you also have monthly check-ins and quarterly check-ins, and you reevaluate and you're open and you're asking for feedback and you're asking to grow, you're receiving feedback, you're giving feedback, and it takes trust and it takes communication. And that's honestly what it takes for any relationship to be
Yeah.
successful. And him and I just didn't communicate. And like looking back now, I wish I would have been a better communicator with him. I communicated really well with everybody except for him. And that was my role in that 100%. And so then that separated us. Because then when I would communicate, I would be demasculating, or I would be like really demanding, like, I need you to do this. And he's like, well, bitch, like, I'm not going to do anything like that. You know, he never called me that, but I'm just saying is this, you could feel that, you know,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
I think it's, I'll just say, I think it's awesome that you even, I mean, I know we'll dive deeper, but just you being aware of that and after the fact, and even today that you're like, I could have done this differently.
Totally.
You can look back and look at yourself and say, I wasn't the right version of myself at that point.
100%. Yeah.
And I
He did
think
not get the
that's
best
super
version of
critical.
me for sure. He got a really cool version of me,
Yeah.
but not like the best version of me. And that's why I'm grateful that we co-parent so well
love that.
now. Cause like we can both see the changes in one another, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's important. As somebody, I was just gonna say, as somebody that married young
Yeah.
and is still married.
Correct,
One,
yeah.
I'm lucky,
Yes.
but I had the choice at a certain point. I mean, when she started her journey, and it was a conversation. You have the choice. You don't have to grow,
Yeah.
but I am growing,
Yeah.
with or without you.
Yep.
And at that point, I had to take a step back and be like, okay, what do I want? Because if I want to continue to be, I need to grow.
Totally.
But that was a conversation we had, and we
Yes.
had to have, and we still go back to multiple times. I mean, the last, it'll be 6 years in October since she started all this.
Yeah. Her journey's awesome.
We've gone through so many ups and downs.
Sure.
It's been from hell to heaven and all the way back, but it's communication that has kept us going.
Yeah.
To communicate what we're doing and how we're doing it and all that. So yeah,
I love
communication's key.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of you guys for that too. And I love how you said like you go through the ups and downs of that, because I think there's so many ebbs and flows just in general. And sometimes it's like your partners, they're just going through their own stuff. Sometimes it's together. Sometimes you're triggering each other from like you guys are like both dealing with the same wound.
Yep.
But if you're not able to communicate that, or even be aware enough to be like, whoa, this is actually mine. It's not even yours. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, that was me. I'm going through this self-love journey right now. Like, I am learning how to love myself. And so these are some of the things that are showing up for me. So being able to have those kind of conversations, or, hey, like, you know what, you're triggering me with this and this. Can we sit down and talk about it? But just being able to have that open dialogue is so key with that. And then also learning how to just constantly grow that trust. Like, I get you're going through this right now, and I'm here with you. I'm not going to leave you. I got you. But like, just being able to be open, I think honestly is like that what can keep a relationship in good standing.
Well, we
good
talked
standing
before,
and forever.
like,
I don't know what you say. Yeah.
We talked before about favorite books and extreme ownership
Yeah.
with one, and
Yeah.
I had to take a real good look at myself and own my shit.
Yeah.
Own where my faults were, my depression, what I was doing to her, myself, the kids, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
If I didn't own it, I sure as shit wouldn't be married. I can tell you that much
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But owning it not only helped myself, but it helped my relationship.
I
And
love that.
continuing to own it and notice it, like, and it's quicker now that I'm like, oh shit, you're right. That's my bad.
Yeah.
I need to fix that. I
Yeah.
need to work on that.
I love
It's
that.
so much better than before, where it would be a week before I'd realize it. It's like maybe an hour, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's the power of it, right? Because
Yeah.
then you can feel
Yeah.
it. You feel when you're not aligned, or you feel when things are off, and you're so aware of it. And so you're able to come back and like check in and just, you can fix that in the moment. And that's so much growth. And I think you can use that same mindset with like your kids, like in parenting. Like there's times where you're like, man, I know I just messed up. And in that moment, like I sit with my kids. I'm like, Mom, just totally messed up. Like, I'm sorry that I just snapped, or I got upset, or like, I get that you need me just to hug you right now, or I'm sorry I wasn't like fully paying attention. You know, come back. Let's like redo that. And that also builds like trust with your kids, because they're like, yeah, you're human. You're gonna mess up, but like you're gonna own it with me, and you're gonna tell me it. And that teaches your kids to own up for themselves too.
Yeah.
Like that extreme ownership is one of the most powerful tools that we can all do. And I love that you said once you owned you, it like changed your guys' relationship, because it also makes, I feel like for women, we respect men so much more that own themselves. Like if you can't own you, if you can't be disciplined in you, if you can't like hold yourself accountable, how are you going to lead me? If you can't even lead yourself, you have no right trying to lead me. And women, that's what puts a woman in her masculine, because she's like, okay, well, if you're going to be a little puss cake and you can't lead yourself, I'm going to have to lead myself.
I like that.
And so that's what ends up happening, right? And then that's what makes women resentful. That's what makes women shut down. That's what makes women mad and like ornery and all of that, because they're like, I can't trust you because you aren't consistent. And when you're consistent within yourself, men and women, that's how women evolve into self-love, is consistency within. And that's how a man grows into a man, and that's how a man learns how to lead himself and lead everybody around him. That's like my opinion.
I can't disagree with any of it, honestly, because not only did it help me, it brought me out of my depression.
Yeah.
I'm happier.
Yeah.
Now that I'm like, oh yeah, I fucked up, that's my bad.
Yeah.
Like I need to take.
And you're human. It's okay to like, people
Whether
go
it's
through
at
depression and
work,
stuff. Yeah.
home, friends, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
I can be like, yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to respect for everybody.
Totally.
Because I guess to me, if somebody came to me and I was pissed and they're like, yeah, that was 100% my bad, I instantly am like, well, my guard's down.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
You just threw me
'Cause
through
you're
a loop.
automatically defensive, trying to like
You're
prove
like,
it
well,
rather than,
you just threw me through a loop.
Exactly.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's totally true.
So what was the hardest part about bodybuilding? Let's change a
Okay,
little
yeah.
bit.
Okay,
Let's go to
move
bodybuilding.
chapters. Okay,
Yeah.
so the hardest thing about bodybuilding, oh man, there's so many things with that. Number one, I love food, which is why I don't do bodybuilding anymore. And like, it is so hard. That was probably the hardest part for me, was straight up literally eating like cold tilapia and just chicken and rice and asparagus every single day. And like through holidays, through everything, because I ended up being in prep for like off and on basically for a year, because I was going to do a show and then I wasn't ready, so then I had to go like reverse and kind of go back into a prep. That was from my first show. And then my second show, I was 2 weeks out from my show, COVID happened. So I had to reverse, and then I had to wait till the end of that year to be able to compete again. So then I was like in prep, like off and on throughout that whole year. So like your relationship with food and the gym becomes very distorted. Like it's not a healthy relationship, because you have to be so restrictive, and that's just part of being in it. So you are an athlete, and just like all athletes have certain demands that are of them in order to perform. This is like what you have to do to bodybuild. Like this is how you're gonna have to eat. This is how you're going to have to train. All those things. So like that's one thing, was just being so disciplined with food and giving like full control to somebody else, and you saying, okay, you tell me exactly what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. Like you're gonna even pick my cheat meals. I can't even pick my cheat meals because there's a science to it. Like, and it's kind of wild, like what food can do to you and all this stuff. But that really taught me like the power of self-discipline, and that was also like the most powerful thing for that journey for me, because backing up to my previous story, right? Like food controlled me in a sense, where that was like the way I de-stressed. That was the way that if I was sad and upset with my ex-husband, or I felt lonely or whatever, I turned to food. Food was like my vice. And so I wanted to prove to myself that food didn't have power or control over me. And that was an element of why I went into bodybuilding. And it did. I was able to prove that to myself, because I was able to be consistent and disciplined and say no. Like so many times I said no to food where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Like, hell yeah. Like I was just like inside, I'm like, I can't, whoa. Like, and so you're just like breaking these stories and these limits about yourself. And then that in turns to everywhere else, because you're like, whoa, where else have I like stopped myself or said like, I don't think I can do that. So you kind of get this like high and this rush from it, because you're like, whoa, what else can I do? And then also same in the gym, because you're like, oh my God, because there's times where, you know, towards the end, you're only eating 1,200 calories, 1,100, 900, like it's constantly dropping and dropping, which is also why it's not healthy. But then you're still doing, for me, not everybody has to do mass amounts of cardio. It depends like how your body looks beforehand, right? But for me, I was doing 2 hours of cardio a day at the end. And I was lifting, and I was a single mom. I had just gone through my divorce, and I had just started life coaching full time. I left corporate America and started my own company. So I'm just like I'm also the kind of person that is like, I just got to jump all the way into the deep end, even if I don't even know how to swim at all or have like a life jacket or anybody's around. I'm like, fuck it. Like, we'll figure it
doing
out.
it, yeah.
Like, I'll figure it out. And so that is like a natural part of me that pushes me. And I like that. But sometimes it doesn't always turn out. So same for me. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, okay, I want to learn. I want to just push myself all the way to like everything. And that was kind of what that journey was. And then I would say the second hardest part was after a prep, after a competing. And that's the part that I don't feel like a lot of people talk about.
I was hoping you were going to talk about
Yeah.
this,
So
honestly.
like, afterward, you have to start gaining weight. So the whole time up to it, you're like losing weight and your body's changing. You're like getting muscles and you're getting veins and like you're getting all these things. Like, oh my God, I didn't even know I'm like the Hulk. Like I didn't even know this is possible. And you're also getting a ton of attention. Like all of a sudden people are just giving you attention like you've never had before. And also keep in mind, I was really overweight. I was over 220 pounds. All of a sudden now I have abs. I just got divorced. I'm getting all this random attention I've never had. So my ego is like fucking high. Like I'm like, oh man, I'm just so cool. Like, and so there was an element of that's like zooming in me. And then you have to start gaining weight. So that was like very hard for me because I did not want to go back to the person I used to be. And I was like, no, I have done so much to get away from her. Like I don't want to do that. And even though I had changed so much, but there was this fear, like, am I going to lose control? Am I going to just like go back? Because you also see it. You'll see people gain like 60, 80 pounds like that, like so fast. And also because you've been so restrictive that you're like, I want everything.
Yep.
And so you start kind of eating and then it's like a high because you're like, I haven't had sugar like this in so long. I haven't felt this way. And there is this element of binging that comes back to it. And I would say every athlete gets this, even if it's just for a couple weeks after, because you haven't had food in so long that you start obsessing about food in a way you haven't before, where before you're obsessing about food, but in the way of like, I know I have to eat chicken and rice at this time. This is my next meal. It's all I get. I'm so excited. I'm going to eat it and I'm going to use those carbs and I'm going to go lift. I'm going to go do leg day and that's going to help me. And then after that, I'm going to get a rice cake. And after that, like, so you're so motivated by every meal and what that meal gets you to the next part of your day and what it does for you. So like you're obsessed in that way. Now you don't have a specific goal of like, I have to be on stage half naked in front of all these people. Now you can like hide if you want to hide. And the goal is now to like come back to a healthy weight, whatever that looks like for you or whatever physique you want. And you don't really know what that is and for me, I went from being so overweight to then being completely in a different direction. I didn't know like what was middle ground for me, what was normal, what was also sustainable. Like I knew it wasn't sustainable to be in the gym for 3 hours a day and like eating the way I was eating, but I also didn't know what it would take to have my body look what way and what way worked for me. Well, I don't know. And so you start gaining weight and then body dysmorphia hits you like this never have before. Because you're like, hey, wait, I know I'm not fat, but I used to be fat. I'm gaining weight. I don't have like abs like I had anymore. Like, am I fat? Am I ugly? And attention starts to drop. People aren't giving you as much attention and they're not being like, oh my gosh, Riley, your abs. Like they start not giving all these compliments. You're like, I am ugly. Like, and so then you kind of go through this like weird spiral. And then you start looking at all these pictures and you're comparing yourself constantly. And then there becomes like this choice of like, okay, I got to compete again because that's the only way I can have control. Or you're like, or you kind of go the other direction or whatever. And this is like really common, I would say, in the bodybuilding world and why you see so many athletes just continuously compete and compete and compete because a part of you, that's all that you are in that sense. And when you're in competition mode, that is who you are. You're Stephanie in prep. Like your day is based around competing, about eating, about lifting, about everything. That is your life. And you have to say no to like friends and everything else because you have to be so dialed in. That's the only way you're going to make it to on stage. And going back to like Extreme Ownership or any of these books, right? They all talk about you kind of have to become like obsessed. You have to be zoned in. You have to do it. That's the only way you're going to make it happen. If you want to start a business, if you want to make your relationship blossom, if you want to save money, whatever it is for you, you have to be honed into it and you have to say no to distractions. That's the only way you become successful and you win. And that's the same thing in bodybuilding, but all the distractions is the world. You're like, I can't, that's all I gotta do. And because you don't also have energy at the end of the day, like when you're starting to get to that point. And so now you're starting to feel better, but now you got to figure out like, what is it that you want? And so then I decided I want to compete again. So then that like went back into prep and then you start gaining. So then you kind of have to go into a bulk because you're like, okay, well now you got to add more muscle. So you're like, okay, a bulk. So like now I can gain weight with a goal in mind. So this is going to help me. So I'm not going to like spiral, right? So it's like, okay, let's add on some weight. That means you can eat more. And you're like, oh my God, yes, it's very exciting. But that means you also got to lift harder. You got to lift more. Like you're not just going to eat that just to eat that. You're eating that for a purpose. So it goes back to you becoming obsessed with food again, because now I'm eating this much carbs in this meal plus this much sugar only so I can go in the gym and I can wreck myself. Like and so then it becomes this other obsession and eating disorder with food too, because you're earning your day with food, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to eat this and that's going to give me this workout. I'm going to eat this and I'm going to do this. And so then for me, that turned into, well, if I want to eat a crumble cookie and I don't want my coach to know, I can just do an extra hour of cardio because that's how much this cookie is. So I can burn this much calories and I can go sit in the sauna. So that way the sugar can detox. And then I can go take some water pills or whatever else. So you start figuring out all these ideas of how to cheat the system when you're just cheating yourself, right? You're lying to yourself and you're hurting yourself, and your coach knows. They're like, okay, whatever.
I was gonna say they're not that stupid.
Yeah, they know. They're like, oh yeah, you're just bloated, you're on your period. No, okay. Like no, you ate sugar. And my coach would call me out like that, and so that also gets hard. It's just like this weird spiral of all of that.
I want to go to ego.
Okay.
During that whole process, how aware were you of like the ego kind of building of like, okay, I look good and I'm getting all this attention? Because I think that's not even just in bodybuilding, but in people in general.
Yeah.
As we start getting more attention, our ego builds up.
Totally.
How did you combat that with like humility and still, because it can turn you into a person that has a big ego and
for sure, 100%.
miserable to be around.
Totally. Yeah. Yes. And I know people like that. And I love them so much, but I'm also like, that's all you have. Mm-hmm. So if that was stripped away from you, what is your soul? Who are you really? Are you a good person? Like, do you have worth outside of this? Do you believe in yourself outside of this? Do you love yourself outside of this? Do you feel worthy outside of this? Like, and for most of the time, if they're honest with themselves, those answers will all be no. I'm grateful that this is going to probably sound weird, but I'm grateful that I was like a chubby kid, because I had to have like a dope personality, like in a sense.
Yeah.
And I also had to work my ass off for whatever I wanted, because there is this like pretty privileged thing. I feel like that is real.
Yeah. No,
and
it is.
and I saw that to be true from like being overweight and then to not, like the differences of how I got treated in different things. But so because of that, going back to that, I was aware of how my ego was growing. And I wasn't fully in check of that, though. Like, my ego definitely was my driver and my motivator in that sense. Versus, like, I would say it's like my ego was driving me, but also there was this inner, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. I wanted to prove to myself that I was enough. Like, that's what I was trying to do within myself. And so for me, that was the other part of it. And then receiving attention and validation, like, fed the ego. And also, like, you kind of interpret that like, oh, I'm doing the right thing because I'm getting all this. And at the time, that was how I was actually growing my Instagram. And that was how I was on the news. I was on TV. I was on the new, like, radio, like all these things. I was a sponsored athlete. I had like all these deals and all this cool stuff. And I was like, hell yeah, like I've made it. But it's also because I was like sharing my journey and I was being vulnerable about it. Mm-hmm. And I also shared that like I took steroids to get some of the muscles that I had. And I felt really shameful about that, because at the time I wasn't honest about that online. And I was telling women like, you can do X, Y, Z and these things and like you'll get abs. Meanwhile, here I am like taking Anavar, and that's pretty common too. And I feel like that also is pretty common on Instagram for a lot of influencers. And that shit drives me crazy still to this day, because there's so many women that are trying to like get this like crazy physique. And I'm like, anything that looks a little unrealistic or like that's so hard to achieve, I promise you they're doing something to achieve that. And it's not healthy. But at the end of the day, I also send all those people love, because I get it. I've been that person too, like where you're like, I need this. This is what makes me feel important right now. So I get that. And that the ego is what brought me into my ego death, to come back to like my home, to come back to myself. So in my second show, when I competed, I was purely driven by ego. I was like, I have to win. I have to be the best. Like, I need this. That was like my motivation. And it was like an ugly part of me that wanted to win and that was like pushing me and trying to succeed. And it was this like a voice in my head saying like, then you're going to finally be enough and beautiful and worthy and all these things. And at the time I was going through this like breakup and I was like, and it's going to make him want you. And like all, just all the stupid things that girls do and say. Oh, everybody does and says, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's all over the world
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And so in my second show, I felt like I looked the best. I worked the hardest. Like I pushed myself so hard and I didn't even place at all. And my first show, I placed in all my categories and I did like freaking awesome. But it was also because my first show, I came in with a different energetic of like, I was just so fucking proud of myself. Like, I was like, I don't even care if I win or anything. Like, I'm on this stage. I am in a bikini in front of people. Like, I never thought I would have this confidence that I could do this. Like, that I'm doing this. And when I was on stage, like, all my friends and family were there and they were like just yelling my name. And I was like, yeah, like, let's go. Like, I was just like having the time of my life because I was like, I did this. My second show, I was like, if I don't win, I am going to be devastated. Like, it was just a total different thing. And I feel like that was God's way of like, you know what? Okay, you have to lose because that's what's going to hurt and that's what's going to make you sit and that's what's going to make you come back home. And so I didn't place at all. And then after I like immediately just left my show, I was like, I don't even want to be here. We were all the way up in Idaho. I drove home the next morning and I was like, I was just mad and I was depressed and like I felt embarrassed. Like I felt like I had all these people like wanting me to win and succeed and like were like looking up to me and I didn't place. And even though I tell people all the time, like, just making it to the stage is the win. But then here I am, like, F my life, man. Like, I had a win. And it cracked me open in the best way. And so I started going back to hot yoga. And hot yoga is what helped me when I was going through my divorce. And I was like, in yoga, I was like, I think I need to become a yoga teacher. Total opposite of bodybuilding. And I hadn't done yoga in forever. And I was online. And randomly, this girl sent me by accident this yoga studio. Okay,
God, man,
literally,
crazy.
like God's got like divine timing. And this is at Christmas, on literally 2 days before Christmas Eve, and we're driving up to Idaho because we go there for every year for Christmas Eve or Christmas with my family and stuff. And she's like, oh, "I'm so sorry I sent that to you." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's so random. I've literally been like looking into yoga places." And she's like, "I just signed up for here. I meant to send it to my other friend Stephanie." And I was like, "Oh, well, I love this," and I ended up signing up. And that day, like, I was like, okay, I had to fill this application. The lady emailed me back and she was like, yeah, you're in. Like, you have the last spot. And I was like, let's go. It started in 2 weeks. So I went to yoga teacher training and it broke me completely open. Completely open.
Before we get to that chapter, let's talk about like the depression. Like how did you handle that? Because obviously, like you said, you went through a breakup.
Yeah.
You had kids. So you're dealing with that. And
Lost
then
the comp.
Lost your competition, and I've heard the highs and lows of the competitions are insane.
Yeah.
So how did you manage your mindset, the depression, the ups, the downs? Because steroids, I've heard, can do the same thing.
Yeah, I wasn't on enough where it was like affecting me like in that sense. I would say there was times where I would be super, super snappy and like irritable, but it's also because I was eating 1,000 calories and didn't have carbs.
That doesn't help
so,
anything
like,
either.
When you and like literally without eating carbs, I'm not kidding you, your brain is stupid. Like your brain does not function. You forget everything. You like have no energy. You have like nothing in you. So it's like so crazy. So when you start getting like food in you again, you're like, oh my God, I'm a new human. It's like having a newborn. You know that newborn stage where you can't like, you're just like, what am I doing with my life? And then after you finally get like a solid night of sleep, you're like, I can take on the world. Like, what do you want me to do? I could become president today. Like that kind of feeling. That's like how that is. For me, the depression and all of that, I actually kind of went into like hiding. Like I was like feeling really shamed and I was like gaining weight. I was eating. I was just kind of like in avoidance, honestly. Like,
did it affect your relationship with your kids a lot?
I mean, probably if I looked back and like sat with it, I'm sure I wasn't like fully present with them and all that kind of stuff. But I think my kids were also a way for me to escape. Like I could pour myself into them versus like that's an avoidant type of thing, right? Like instead of me sitting with me and sitting with all this, I'm gonna like zone out that anything's wrong with me, and I'm just gonna like be super here with like, not that I was maybe fully present with them, but I was like staying busy with them, if that makes sense.
You weren't as you weren't as, I don't know, I guess snappy or rude towards them. You were more
I know.
more present, but not as present as you maybe are now.
Yeah.
Let me ask this. So at your heaviest, were you seeing any signs of depression at that point, like that made you want to, get healthier? And then when you competed and failed, or didn't, you said place, you went through some depression. Would you say that one was harder than the other? Because it's like totally different spectrums, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's more of like I wasn't necessarily depressed before that. I would say I was like lonely. Like I didn't feel satisfied. And that was like I was lonely of I didn't really know who I was. And me and my ex-husband like weren't communicating. So I was lonely and I was craving to like be seen, but I didn't see myself. So that was like more of that's what that feeling was. And the only way I was seen and like valued was in my career. That was like my worth. So if that's like the separation there. So that you could take that same philosophy with that of like now. So it's the same thing of like my who I was became bodybuilding Stephanie and this athlete and I did like I was a sponsored athlete with like Athleta and like 1% Fitness, like some big names and big companies and Hydro Jug and all this stuff. And I'm like, now I don't matter. Like I mattered. People know me. I've been on the news a million times, like all these things. Like in my head, I was like, I'm kind of famous, like all this stuff. And now I'm nothing. And so it was like same going back to this loneliness feeling of like, now I don't matter again.
Yeah.
Like, what do I have? Like, who am I now? And that was the same feeling of like, I don't want my career to be my only thing. I want to shatter that. And that's when I left that. And then I stepped in. That's like when my mindset stuff started happening. That's when I got like a coach and did all these things. I got like a business coach. I got a spirituality coach. I had a physical coach, like to train me, all that kind of stuff. I went to Tony Robbins. I spent $50,000 that year on like self-improvement, all these different crazy things like that. And so I knew I knew that I'm an extreme person, that I have to go through extreme things to like refine myself. So that was like that feeling again of like, who am I? And like, I'm raw again. And to me, that's like, also in the moment you can't see that that's like the most beautiful thing ever, but when you can look back, it's like you are the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. You're in a cocoon of like, who the fuck am I? Nothing fits, nothing feels right. Like I don't even know who I am anymore. And that was for me on my 30th birthday, and that became a catalyst for me. And then this feeling of like, okay, I don't know who I am anymore, but I know 100% bodybuilding doesn't fit with me anymore. None of that fits. Same thing like before, none of my career, nothing fit anymore. So once you're in that feeling where you're like, I don't know, nothing fits, nothing feels right, and like you don't even know who you are, that's the most beautiful place to be in, because you are now becoming this next version of you. And it's okay to die in that moment, because you have to grieve. You have to grieve who you currently are, the thoughts of that person, that attachment, that belief, all of that. There's parts of you that you get to keep with you and the lessons, and then you have to let the rest of it go, because now you got to become the next person, or you can stay stuck. That's up to you. Right. But that's like where growth happens.
So obviously, like now looking at it,
yeah,
it sounds very empowering, and it sounds like you were super aware, or are aware of that transition and that kind of metamorphosis, I guess you can say. In it, were you that aware, or was it like pulling teeth, where it was just like? No,
in that moment I was, and I'll be totally honest. I've done a lot of mushrooms, and I feel like mushrooms makes you very aware.
Yeah.
Not
yes,
trying to.
It does.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, so for me that was like, and that's actually also where I knew I needed to do yoga. So I was actually on a mushroom journey. And I kept seeing me teaching yoga and doing all this yoga. And then the next day, all that thing on Instagram, everything just kept aligning. And I was like, I'm supposed to do yoga. So for me, it was like, and I had done so much work, inner work. I've had so many coaches, all these things. So I would say my awareness, obviously I'm way more aware today. But in that moment, I knew like I have to let this version of me die. And I have to figure out who I'm becoming though. Like, is it yoga? Is it what? Like, I don't know. And that gets to like, and it was the same feeling of when I turned 30 and I got divorced and I did all these different things. Like, it was like, I don't know, but I got to go figure it out. And I'm going to try whatever feels like it fits. And I'm going to try it all the way. And then I'll decide if that fits me still or not.
Is it fair to say that there's more than one?
100%.
Like it's.
I'll re-evolve next year. I don't know what I'll be into 100% next year, but I do know that my truth is going to evolve and change as I continue to grow my awareness and what my truth is and the knowledge and all of that, right? Like there's still going to be foundational truths that will never change. But like the more that you become who you are, the more that you're going to let yourself be free of things that no longer really serve you or stick with you, or things that you've been doing because it's your ego driving you, or it's how you got validated, or it's what you thought you had to be, or it's the shoulds or the attachments or these lies or these beliefs that you've been holding yourself in. And then every evolvement of you is like you're taking off a different mask or a different part of you that you're like, this doesn't fit anymore, and that wasn't even me. Or it was me, but that's not that version of
Served
me anymore.
you in that moment.
Yeah,
at
and
that
it's also
time.
sending that with gratitude. Like, thank you so much for like this part of you, and thank you for my future self for like fighting for me to get here, and sending myself love for like the journey that I had to go through to be that. But then being excited for like now who you're becoming. You know.
I love that.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, that's extremely, I feel like, important to have that awareness, to know that you're going to go through so many, I guess I call them milestones in your life.
Yeah.
That you'll be like, okay, it's good to kind of let that part go.
Totally.
I gained, what we talk about is foundation, right? And you mentioned as well, that foundation that you build. And I feel like as you go through these milestones, that foundation is being built for the person that you're going to be down the road, which is, whatever version of yourself is showing up today is who you needed for today.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean you need it for tomorrow. You might need a piece of it.
Yes.
And you find that within yourself to carry you forward.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you agree with something like
that.
that.
No, I totally agree with that. And that's like the beauty of detachment, right? Like stop to not be attached to these certain versions of yourself, because sometimes it's just that chapter that you had to be that version of yourself, or it's just that. And so it's okay to evolve and to let yourself grow into whatever else it is. But I think a lot of people stay stuck because they're afraid of that change and that unknownness feeling of like nothing fits anymore. That's when you always go back to comfort, because you're like, that's what feels right. And so that could be a toxic relationship. That could be a toxic relationship with food, with the gym, with steroids, with alcohol, with whatever it is, because there's comfortability in that. And our nervous system and our bodies crave to be comfortable, because to us, we're confusing that with safety. But that's not necessarily safe. It's just what feels okay. But you've learned to also let yourself feel okay feeling like shit. Like I let myself think I was feeling okay at 220 pounds, heavy, and not with energy consumed by food, but because I had success somewhere else, I'm like, I'm happy. And then once you feel good, you're like, shit, I never felt good before. So now your truth changes. Now you have a new awareness. Now you have a new knowledge, a new understanding of what good feels like. So what good is to you has changed. Just like when you're a kid, like chicken nuggets is like the dopest shit ever.
Yeah, right.
And now I'm like, you better make me the best damn steak of your life.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Don't give me no fucking chicken nuggets.
Like I want this to be a gourmet meal.
Yeah.
Like that's a different, I want an experience.
I love that example.
Right?
That's,
And because my truth has changed, like that's not the dopest shit for me. I'm not trying to have Arctic Circle anymore. Like I don't want that.
Yeah.
But when I'm 7, 8, like that is the highlight of my day. But your truth changes as you evolve, as you grow, and as it should. If your taste buds, and if you could take that into whatever analogy you want, is still the same as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, get going on changing and growing and learning, because you are fucking stuck.
I love
it's
that.
Just on the food aspect, it's amazing how much a cleaner, healthier, homemade meal tastes than going out.
Yeah, and your wife is freaking chef up in the kitchen with all her sourdough bread and everything else that she's making, and just all that.
So good.
She posts it, and I'm like, oh, it looks delightful. But like, it changes you, right? And it
does.
changes your brain. It changes your gut. Everything about you changes within that. And when you let yourself eat like shit, you feel like shit, and you don't even know it, and you're stuck even in depression or whatever else, because it's literally living in you. You're allowing it, right?
Yeah.
And when you change that, you change everything else too. So it's just. It's like taking glasses and like seeing for the first time sometimes. And you're like, oh my God, I wasn't even aware of this. And that, instead of like judging yourself or being mad at yourself, like being grateful that you let yourself become aware, and then thinking, where else am I not aware? And like staying curious. And I think that's like the most powerful thing we can do.
It's amazing how you go eat something that you used to love.
Yeah.
And you're like, this tastes nowhere near what I remember.
Yes.
And then the next day you're like, I feel hungover as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, this hurts.
From it. And it literally hurts you. Yes.
Yeah, it hurts.
It's like poison. And you're like, oh, because it's a dopamine rush.
Yeah.
I was craving that because I wanted a dopamine rush, because food is addictive. They're just like we struggle with addiction in other areas. Food is just that. I firmly believe that. And so I work with my clients in saying this is an addiction, and here's how we're going to change that, and how you're going to take your power back. And with that mindset, I feel like it helps people set themselves free within that, if they choose to like really follow it. But yeah. I feel like I lost track of what you were asking.
No, that's you were right on point with all of that. I mean, you kind of brought up the next point. So what do? You're a mentor, coach?
I do a lot of things. Yeah.
I know you do, like,
so I
the
did
sound
yoga
baths.
teacher training. So I went through all that. I went through trauma informed yoga teacher training. So that's like you learn a lot about like chakras and all these different things. So I am a yoga teacher. I do sound healing. So that's like the sound bowls, sound baths. I love all that. I've only started doing that for the last year, but that's just another element for me that came through with like yoga of sound also helps you to release what else like you bring up. So yoga for me brought me back to my home of like, okay, this was ego and this is like your soul. And the ego lives out of lust and desire and like worldly things like this flesh, right? And it's motivated by that. Your soul is here to live in your body, to experience like everything that we can experience here if you let yourself. And a part of that experience is coming home to your body and to your soul and letting that be one and saying like, I love you and I'm sorry I kept trying to change you and fight against you and hurt you and make you be something and mold you into this way, rather than just like being with you and sitting with you and listening to you and honoring you and learning how to trust you. And like, instead of me fighting you, I want to just be home with you. And that is like the best experience of your life when you finally are like here. And that's what yoga is medicine to me. And that's what yoga did for me, is it brought me back home. And it helped me realize like, oh, I'm doing all these like worldly things and all this stuff. And I say worldly in the means of like, I needed that validation. I needed that ego hit. I needed all of that. But that's not really what I'm here for. Like, I'm here to share. I'm here to share about my journeys and my experiences and my vulnerabilities and the pain and the lessons and the truth and the relearning and the unlearning and the evolving. And I'm here to share about self-love, and I'm here to share what love really is. And I'm here to help people feel safe and grounded and like to own who the fuck you are and let yourself be who you are without fear, without judgment, without shame. Like, that's what I'm here for.
So many people struggle with that.
Yes,
So
we
many
all
people.
do.
Yep.
We all do. But that is my purpose. My purpose, and everything brought me into my purpose, right? Like, bodybuilding was a catalyst and a pivotal need. That was a major life lesson that I had to have, and I had to go through all those chapters to get here. So I would never. People tell me all the time, like, would you recommend I compete? I'm like, if your soul, if your body is like, this is a full body, yes, I want to do this, then yes, you need to, because it will be a chapter in whatever lesson that is for you, and it will be great, or it won't. But like, if you're being pulled to that, only you know what is a yes for you. I can't tell you that. I can share my journey, and that's not to deter you or to say yes to it. And you're not going to have the same experience I had. That's my experience. So like, it's just whatever you want to do, you know?
I feel like how difficult is it to go through those, I guess. Oh man, I lost my train of thought there. Holy crap.
That usually only happens to me.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Holy smokes. No, I think it's phenomenal to hear you talk about so many different aspects of growth, you know, and I'm recently new into like the spiritual side, and it sounds
Same.
like you're, you know, started, at least are on that journey,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A lot further than me, for sure. How important do you think that is to have that balance of I want to say energies or spirituality when it comes to like your everyday life? How important is it for somebody, especially for males? I mean, I know.
I think for everybody.
Women usually fall in and are like super open to it. A lot of the males that, I mean, you know, right? We try to be masculine and, you know, we don't need that stuff, and we're very. I want to say.
I've cried more during those than anything.
We
I
don't
have
tend to
guys
show
cry in
that.
my
Right?
yoga classes all the time, and I love it. When people cry in a yoga class, I'm like, thank you. Thanks for feeling safe enough to let go. And yeah, I think having some sort of spirituality or a higher power, inner knowing is vital. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, like, you kind of feel like you don't matter and there's no purpose. And like, what am I doing here? Like, what is this all about, right? And so then you just want to be distracted all the time because you're like, none of this matters. Like, why am I even here? So I might as well just like utilize all these distractions: food, alcohol, drugs, porn, gambling, whatever that is for you. When you're aligned to, if that's God, source, universe, higher power, whatever that is for you, that becomes a driving force for you, and that becomes a part of your inner values and your inner morals, and that is what then helps guide you, right? So if I don't have that, I'm a wayward soul. Like, my shit is all over the place, and you see that all the time. And you can also feel when people are lost. You can feel when people aren't in their body. You can feel when people are just driven by ego. You can feel when people are driven by manipulation and darkness. You can feel that energetic.
Yeah, for sure.
And and you have to just send them love because like they just haven't found their light yet, and not everybody's gonna find their light, and that's okay too, because we have free power, we have free will,
Right.
and I truly believe that you can have heaven or hell experience here on life in this moment, whatever you want. You can create hell for you all day long, or you can create heaven for you. You have the power to choose any second.
Definitely done both.
Yes, and we all do, and we're gonna do that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
It's
you
how long
learn.
you choose to stay in them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like you
Right.
can stay stuck and you can do that. And like shame, fear, guilt, those are the lowest vibrations that you can feel. So when you're doing shit that you know you shouldn't do and you feel all those feelings, you can stay stuck or you can pull yourself out of it. And I think if you don't, I grew up very religious, so I've always had a very strong belief in God, but I don't believe in religion. I feel like religion is it's just a business, honestly, at the end of the day, but it's like an organized way of like creating shame and fear. And saying like hierarchy matters. Like if you do this, this, and this, then you can have this. If you do this, this, and this, and you pay this much, then you can have this. So it's a business. It's a business model. And you're saying if I come here every Sunday, every Wednesday, and I give this many hours of service, and I do all this, then God's gonna love me more. But I can be a shitty person at home, and I can be a shitty
Just
husband, a
about to
shitty
say
wife,
that.
or all these pedophiles or whatever else. But because I do all this, God's gonna let me in to heaven. That okay?
That doesn't make sense to me.
No, right?
I didn't grow up that way ever. I mean, to this day I've never sat through a church service of any kind. And I feel that if you're a good person, good things will come to you.
Totally.
Yeah.
In this life, the afterlife, whatever it might be, being a good person is what really matters.
100%.
Just because you're paying and going and doing all this doesn't mean you're a good person.
No.
I've known plenty that are not.
Oh,
good
100%.
people.
And really, at the end of the day, it's like we're trying to all understand God's love, Christ's love, whatever that word is for you, right?
Yep.
And love is unconditional. True love is unconditional. True love says, I'm here for you no matter what, and I'm going to love you, but I'm also going to hold you to your highest self. That doesn't mean that you can run all over me or you can do all these things, right? Like, there's going to be accountability. Accountability is within love, with relationships, with everything, because I love you enough that I'm not going to let you do this. Like, you love your kids enough that you're going to discipline them and teach them and guide them, right? So it's also the same thing. You have to have that principle in yourself of like this guiding tool. So for me, that is God. And that is also source and universe. And like, there's all these different feelings. And for me, when I teach yoga, I feel very connected to God. I feel, because then I pray before I go into yoga and I say, I'm open. Use me as a vessel to say whatever needs to come through, to hold whatever space helps people feel safe and grounded and connected to you, whatever that is. Like, and that's just the invitation. Like, just show up here. I just want you to feel embraced. I want you to feel loved. I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel seen. And to me, that's what God's love is. That's what love is in general, is like, you're safe. You're seen. I love you. You're enough. You're worthy. You don't need to be anything different. Just be yourself and come into this space of this. And that's, I think, what we're all here for. And so, like, that's my thing against organized religion, is like, we can all experience that love without having to go to do all these different things, right? Like, love is you. You can be love, or you cannot. And that's up to you.
Do your kids understand a lot of what you're doing?
Not
they're
like
older.
fully.
I think
They're 8 and 11. Yeah, I mean, my kids are pretty emotionally aware, I would say, and like, they're just, they're pretty.
kids,
yeah,
but-
but yeah, they're just, I don't know. They don't know everything, and I don't want them to know everything. Like, they don't have social media or anything like that, you know. But yeah, they're just cool little kids, and they teach me so much about life, more than I teach them. Like, my kids trigger me in all different ways, and my kids are also going through different like food stuff that I went through. And like, so watching your kids go through that, when I'm like, I'm trying to teach you so much to like not go through that. I was trying to take this lesson away from you, but then you see, it's just like some of these patterns are so deeply rooted in you, and all you can do is try to be the example and be open and be vulnerable and share and like ask and try to make your kids feel as safe as you possibly can, and show them that same love, like unconditional love, and your lessons.
Isn't that the wildest thing, is that you, as much as we try to protect our children, to not go through some of the same pain,
Yeah.
to feel some of the things that we felt as our childhood or even as adults, and when we see them go down those paths, that we know, like, oh, I know what you're thinking, I know what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And how heartbreaking that is as parents, because
Totally.
you try so hard to avoid that.
But I think that's the power of it, because you're like, I haven't walked through your shoes. Because there's also parents that will not be fully honest and open and vulnerable, and instead they just try to enforce fear in you. Like, don't do that. Just don't do that, right? Like, don't go do drugs, because then you're just gonna become this crazy drug addict, because maybe that was their story. So then what do you want to do? You want to go do drugs.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me no? Cool.
All right.
I'm going to
Bet.
go do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. So for me, I'm just like really open with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? Mom has struggled a lot with like loving her body or loving herself. And like, I'm really open with my kids about all of that kind of stuff. Like, this was a couple weeks ago, my daughters and her friends were at my house and they were doing all this skincare and stuff. And there's a scale like in my bathroom. And one of her little friends stepped on it. She's like, oh, I weighed this much. And so then all the girls were stepping on it. And I was like, oh my God, stop, like, I was like, okay, I'm like, let's just be here. Like, I need to be present instead of me being triggered, because that's my own trigger. That's not their trigger. They don't know anything about this right now. That's my trigger. So let me step back for a second and then let me use that trigger in a way that I can heal that inner child in me and also create this safe, beautiful space for my kids and their friends. And so they were weighing themselves and I'm like, oh, you guys are all so perfect. You're so, so perfect. It doesn't matter. That is just a number. Just like when you're in math class, like those are all just numbers. They don't mean anything. You could also have random numbers in your bank account. That doesn't mean anything different about you. It doesn't mean you're better or worse or anything like that. These are just numbers. And what's more important is how your body feels and how you feel in your body. And do you have energy? Can you go run outside and play with all your friends? Do you sleep good? Do you wake up good? Do you get lots of belly aches? Like all those things, that's what matters more. And I want y'all to go look in the mirror right now. And so they were in there. I'm like, I want you to just tell me all the things that you love about you and like how perfect you are. And so they're like, oh, I like my hair. I like my eyes. I like my little dimples. And I'm like, exactly. Like, you're perfect and you're enough and you're beautiful. And in that moment, it was just like a cool moment because the scale didn't matter at all. Like these numbers just stopped. And it was more of just like, I don't know. Because there was times in my life where I was so, my value and my worth was so connected to the scale. And I grew up like as a 90s kid. So I'm 38. So like that was like 100% the life then. Like it's a lot different now. But I never want my girls to step on a scale and say, this is how much I matter. Or I need to lose this much to feel worthy or loved. Or my friend weighs this, so I need to weigh this or whatever it is. And so in that moment, like being able to just be in that moment, I can heal the inner child in me. And then I can also teach my kids a different lesson. And I think that's the power of our lessons if you let them be your lessons. When you see your kids going through the same pain and the same hurt, you should be more aware of what it is they're trying to process, what they're feeling, what they're going through. So now you can speak to it. Right. Like, hey, are you feeling some of these things? Okay, yeah, mommy actually or daddy has felt those things before. And so sometimes I would make me want to like not be friends with certain people, or I'd want to like hide myself, or I wouldn't speak up in class, or I want to go try something new, like go and play soccer with the kids because I was afraid I wouldn't run fast or I wasn't going to be good at it. And I wish I could go back and I would change those things because now mommy knows that I matter and I can try all sorts of things. And if I fail, I can just get back up. And I think that's like the power and the beauty of life is that you get to teach your kids all of that. And like, and that's everybody's going to just do the best you can. But if you can do that, they can receive that and they might not use it. But like, you know, you're doing the best that you can with what you went through, you know?
I love that. I mean, kudos to you. That's amazing that you turned that moment into something beautiful for your daughter and their friends. I think
that's gonna be something they're gonna remember for a long time.
I hope so.
And even if they right now they don't realize the impact of that, the next time that situation comes up, that will probably be one of the first thoughts. Like, oh, my mom, remember that Stef said this. Let's the friends and everybody. But I think that's phenomenal. I just really started to get into we talked about it on our last episode, the inner child, healing the inner child. So that actually like super hit me there because it's like, yeah, like you do those things, like you said, to not necessarily help them avoid it, but to help them work through those emotions. Because a lot of the times we didn't know as kids they were having those emotions, right? You're like, and then now as an adult, you could be like, hey, normalizing, when I always go back to this because it was normalizing the fear of like the first day of school for my daughter and be like, hey, I know you're super nervous right now. Yeah. As a father, she kind of like idolizes like, oh, my dad's a superhero, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like daddy was scared too. Yeah. I was, I had, my stomach felt weird. Yeah. I had, all these other emotions you're feeling are totally normal. Because I think sometimes as kids, we're growing up and we think we're the only, and even as adults, we think we're the only ones dealing with these emotions, which is what you talked about is your purpose now is leading through vulnerability, through your struggles and your accomplishments and all those things and helping people. And I think that's such a phenomenal job, one that you did with your daughter, but also the people, the clients that your association that you get around, that you're able to use those experiences to uplift and spread love and compassion, because it's so rare today. To see that. So kudos to you. I think that's an amazing.
Thank you.
It's amazing to hear.
I like that story. I mean, been trying to get a lot better with my kids, and like they'll be like, "Well, I can't do that," and I'm like, "You can't say that."
Yeah.
Like, my daughter's learning how to do a backflip.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which, I mean, as a kid, I was told, "Don't do all this stuff," and of course, what do? I go and try and do it.
Right.
And then my other one's trying to learn how to do a front flip.
Oh, that's
and
dope.
I'm like, okay, we gotta. Like, I got on the tramp. I didn't want to, but I'm like, I'll get on and like teach them some things.
Yeah.
But seeing them be able to accomplish that and the joy that it gives them is amazing.
100%. And the joy like you get from it too,
yeah,
right?
it was
like,
a lot of fun getting on there. I mean, I can't do it right now, but
or those are the moments I feel like that make you feel like you're a parent, though, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I get it. Like, like I'm supposed to be your mom for this reason. Like, this is what I'm here to teach you. Or also like reinstills this like inner drive and this motivation of you're like, you guys are looking up to everything I do, and I'm here to try to like teach you and guide you. And sometimes that can feel really overwhelming. But then you can also be like, how cool is that I can just share also from a vulnerable place? Like, actually, Dad's kind of scared to do this front flip right now. Like, I might just fall flat on my ass, but we're going to try. And like, that's what, like, I think that's the mindset. Like I tell my kids, I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, but I'm going to try. Like, I'm never not going to try. And so are you. And you can't tell your kids to do something you won't do.
Yeah.
And I'll show them stuff. I'm like, oh, mom is afraid of heights. And so, but guess what mom did? Mom jumped out of an airplane. You did? I'm like, hell yeah, I'll show you. Because fear is fake. Fear, anxiety, and excitement are actually all the same in your body. It's just the thought that you connect with it that then creates either serotonin or cortisol. It's either stress or it's excitement. You get to choose by the thought that's connected to it, but your body starts responding the same way until the next thought of it. I know we're probably so over on time.
No, we're good as long as you're good.
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Can I ask how important association was for you? So I feel like sometimes you talked about going through your competitions and all this growth that you've done. Has your association had an impact to the way that you've progressed through life, and even in competition? You said you were laser focused, right?
Yeah. My circle's definitely changed in different ways for sure. Like going back to like my first job, like I had a lot of mentors, and like that was like my whole life was just like this corporate world in that sense. And then when I got into bodybuilding, like I started hanging out with a lot of different bodybuilders, and you kind of have to, because it's, again, you have to become obsessed with it. And it's also, they're the only ones that really understand the world that you're in at that time. And other people, if they've never done it, they think you're a psycho, they think you're crazy, they think you're selfish, like all these different things, because they don't get it. And that's also a thing that I feel like Brene Brown says this, but you can't hate close up. You can only hate from afar. So when we're far away from something and we don't really know what it is, that's when judgment is like the most alive. And that's also when God's going to teach you those lessons too. Like think about the things you've judged the most, or you've looked at down on people for. Like you'll go through that in yourself, because that's how God will teach you, or whatever, that like compassion and empathy and humanizing yourself and not putting yourself on this pedestal, right? And that's ego. But yeah, it's now I forgot the main question that you said.
The association that
So bodybuilding, like that becomes like your whole world. When I was in entrepreneurship, I hung out with tons of different entrepreneurs too, and that was also during that same kind of time of bodybuilding and just all of that. And then I feel like every kind of involvement I've had, I still have like my core group of friends, which I'm so grateful for. Me and four of my girlfriends have all been friends for 20 years, and we've grown up together, and we've stayed friends, and we're sisters, and we've had ups and downs and all the things, but they are like my family. They are like my core. Outside of that, though, I've had different like groups and changes of that. Like I've gone through so many different lives. Like before I did bodybuilding, I was like into rock climbing, so I had like all these rock climbing friends, and I would go rock climbing and do all this stuff, and I was like this little hippie. And then I was like, okay, I'm over this now. I'm gonna like, I was just like, but it was like all these different elements of myself that I was trying to find. And that was also like my year of being 30. I said yes to everything. I'm like, I don't know if I like rock climbing, but I'll go figure it out. I'm afraid of heights. Why the hell am I signing up and doing this? Like, I don't know, but I'm gonna figure it out. Like, and I kind of became obsessed with anything that scared me was like a yes for me to figure out if I liked it or not. And so that was also part of like finding new friends. Like I would be in the gym and I wanted to have like girlfriends to work out with. So I'd be like, I just go find girls that were cute that I liked. I'm like, I want to be your friend. Like, I like you. Do you want to work out together? Like literally I just made a gazillion friends doing that. And, so yeah, you kind of like change your environment for who you're becoming or who you want to become. And I think that's so key and so important, because otherwise you can either, again, go back to being stuck, or you can evolve, and you kind of have to have people that are in doing what you want to be doing or where you're at. and people that are going to help also hold you to your highest version of yourself in that. So that could be having a coach to hold you accountable. That could be having like friends and sharing like what your goals are. That could be having a partner and sharing what your goals are, like whatever that is. But like having that, and then having people who are like-minded in that sense of evolving and growing and not wanting to stay stagnant is so key for you to evolve as well. Because otherwise you'll have people kind of, nobody is going to flat out be like, I don't want you to grow or change or be successful. But they're going to do things and say things, and they're going to be like, are you sure you don't want to go party this weekend? Like, you're so lame now. You don't want to, like, and they're going to make you feel guilty, or they're going to like not, there's just all these different changes that will happen in involvement. And that's okay. Those just aren't your people.
Yep.
And it's okay to let them go. And that also hurts, and you have to grieve that and be okay with that. But when you clear space that is no longer needed, you create space for what is needed. So it's okay to let go, because something else will always come in its place. It's just the law of the universe.
I love that.
That's been a lesson that we've been going through a lot with just life in general.
Yeah.
I mean, friends, family, everybody just kind of figuring out who's going to be here for this.
For sure.
For this season, life,
Right.
whatever, chapter, however you want to put it. But yeah, it can be very difficult.
It can be. And there are going to be times that's lonely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure every one of these books has an element of that, talking about it in some way of like loneliness is also okay.
Yeah.
Because you have to be okay with who you are. Because if you're not, you're going to always let people decide who you need to be liked, loved, accepted.
That was a very hard lesson for me to learn.
Oh, same. I was like the biggest people pleaser of all time. And I still have elements of that in me that are alive. And that will probably always be an element in me that's alive that I have to actively work on to be like, oh, I just said yes to that because I want that person to like me. Like, why do I care? And so that's what I have to start asking. Like, why do I want that? Or why was I afraid to like say what I really wanted to say? And it's just in those moments of just changing it. Like, hey, actually, sorry, I don't know why I said yes to that. I really don't want to. And people are like, oh, okay, like, I respect that, and that's okay. And I've also had people be like, what? Like,
But
I've gone on dates and stuff before, and then I've been like, I'm just actually not into it at all. Sorry. And I'll just leave. And they're like, what the hell? And I'm like, no, sorry. I'm just like, honest, I'm really not into it now. And instead of a past version of me would have been like, I have to like be nice, and I have to go through all this, and da-da-da-da. When I'm just like, why waste our time? Like, I'm not solid.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. Like, you have to be honest. And I think a lot of people, and most people, will respect honesty more than they'll respect you
Totally.
going along with it.
100%. Well, there's nothing you can say back to that, because the only workaround is if you're lying, right? Like, because then people are trying like, well, what? But if you're just like clear, clarity has so much power in everything, in your relationship, in business, with your kids, with yourself. When you're uncertain, that's when your life is chaotic.
Yep.
Because you're like, I don't know. I'm halfway in. I'm halfway out. I do want this. I don't want this. I don't know. I don't know. But then once you get crystal clear, you're like, let's go.
Yep.
Clarity is power. Clarity is force. Clarity is energy. And everything else from that is just a distraction. And a lot of us constantly live in uncertainty. And we're also addicted to being in that uncertainty, because it's chaos. It's up and down. Your nervous system is addicted to that. So things are good for a little bit, and then it's a shitstorm, and then things are good again, and it's this up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'm a certified life coach, and we used to walk people through this exercise, and we would say, okay, I want you to start from your earliest memory to where you're at today, and I want you to draw just a map, and I want you to put dots at times that were pivotal moments in your life. And this could have been like sadness, they could have been big changes in your life, whatever it was. And these could also be amazing, great things, like a family trip that you just fully remember, a best friend, a time that you felt safe, a success, whatever it is. And then you dot it, and then you'd have people, draw the dots to the line. Well, after every low, there was always a high. You could walk anybody through this exercise, and it will always be the same. And so the proof of it is that you have to go through the lows to get through the highs. Just like when you're hiking and you're going through it, you have to go through the low before you can get to the high and you can see a clear view. And you had to go through the darkness to find light. You have to go through the cocoon. The cocoon is dark. There's nothing in there before you can bloom. And so anytime that you're in the darkness, or you're in this like shitstorm, or you're in this like, what the fuck is this? What is this lesson? Know that it's not going to last forever. Nothing is permanent. And you don't have to live in whatever you're living in right now. And there will be change. There will be the rainbow. There will be a clear sky. And you'll have clarity into why what you just went through to get to the other side. And that exercise was always so cool, because then people, like, you kind of start to see it. You're like, oh my gosh. And so then you kind of start to welcome, like, those moments, because like that will actually be pivotal in who I'm becoming. And you can start to have those moments happen faster and faster and faster, because you can see, oh, I'm just growing, I'm evolving. Like, I welcome this. I'm actually just being triggered because I'm actually being invited to change. That's what this is. This is an invitation. And the party that I'm being invited to is growth. It's awareness. If I want to, or I can say like, I'm not going to RSVP, I'll hit you up later. But if you really want to grow, that invitation's always there. It's just like up to you.
I like that. I'd never heard it put that way. I like that though.
Yeah. So welcome to the party, you know?
Yeah, hey, I love the growth party more than any stage I've been in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Been the saddest you've ever been?
Yeah, I've been
Right.
the happiest. I've been the saddest. I mean, I almost took my own life all the way to where I'm at now, and it's a wild fucking ride.
That's what you
It
talked
is
about,
wild.
right? It's those peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
You're going to have
yes.
that in that timeline no matter what.
Yeah, it was a wild ride, but I'm glad I'm still here for it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you are here too. And like thinking of that, of where you probably had to get to that point though, in order to get where you're at now. So what I like to think with that with people, I'm the similar like that. I have to go through a rough ride to get to the other side. God just knows you like it rough. And so that's the only way you're going to learn. And
That's the truth.
and that's
there.
the lesson, because there's some people that can learn the lesson the first time and they're like, oh, I see it, right? And that's great. And God loves you, and that's amazing. And then there's people like us where we're like, I have to have like my head thrown against the fucking wall. And then I'm like, okay, I get it. Like I finally get it. And sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to try one more time. And then I'm like, no, just kidding. I got the lesson. And
that's where it was.
but that is how I learn. But it's also because I have to go all the way in. I have to know that I went all the way through to get to the other side. I can't just put a toe in and say like, I learned it. Like, I have to fully experience it. And that's good and that's also bad, but it's also like one of the most beautiful things I love about myself is that I know whatever I'm in, I'm 100% in, and I'm going to be fully invested in it all the way until it's done. And I'm going to learn whatever I have to learn from it. And that can be good or it can be bad, but like that's the only way I learn. And so I have to just embrace that. And that's also why I know that it's okay for me to constantly evolve and have a million different lives and deaths. Like being a bodybuilder to a yoga teacher to like just all these different things, right? Like it's okay for your identity to change as many times as it needs to. That doesn't have to mean anything bad about you, because again, there's a core pieces of you that are staying the same, but it's like you're saying it's okay to change. And that's the most beautiful thing that you can do. And I think that's why people are motivated by me, is because whatever I'm in, I'm 100% in. I was way into CrossFit. I was way into powerlifting. I competed in both of those things. Like whatever I'm into it. And I'm going to like fully ingrain myself. When I was in CrossFit, it is like a cult. So all my friends were like CrossFit friends like that I would go to the gym with, right? And then powerlifting, same thing. And you like love it. And I love all those pieces of me. And I love all those people from those pieces of me, because they all love me and embrace me and help me become me. And I think that's like the best way to live, is like that you're fully in it. Like that's just the only way I know how to do it.
That's not a bad way to do it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like that's how you do it too, you know?
I would say so. I mean, if I'm in it, I mean, I go as hard as I can on most everything that I do.
Yeah.
Just because that's the only way I know.
Same.
I mean, like the biggest thing I can equate it to is like deadlifts and squats.
Yeah.
My wife is like, she knows she can pull or push the power that I can.
Yeah.
But she's like, we're going to say it the rudest way possible, but you're stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know. And I injured myself twice now doing it, but I can guarantee you in a week I'm going to be back to doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's no stop. I don't want to stop until I can achieve it.
Yeah. I love that.
Like, and for somebody my size to pick 315 up on a deadlift or
that's incredible.
to squat 285 is quite a bit for my size of a person. So I'm like, I need to continue to break that barrier because I can't stop.
Well, and like, what is it that you're really trying to break the belief of, though? So break that down.
That a small person can do it.
Okay. And so what have you been told your whole life?
That I'm small.
And what does that mean? What has that meant to you?
That I can't do shit.
Okay.
Like
so
my mom
being
stopped
small,
me from playing football because she's like, you're going to get hurt.
Okay.
It was the get hurt most of the time. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. Well, yeah,
and how did that make you feel as a man?
Like shit, of course.
So
now I'm like,
you're just trying to prove to yourself that you're strong?
Yeah.
That you're enough?
Yep.
And that you're a man?
Yep.
And that your size doesn't matter?
Yep.
Right? So every time you're in the gym, that's like you're fighting also your inner child.
Yep.
So on the day that you like are probably ego lifting and hurting yourself, that might have been a really triggering day for you where your inner child was out to play.
Yeah,
and little Dustin was like, I feel small and I don't feel like I'm enough.
It was not a good
like
day.
everybody's picking on me, and you know, and like I've got to prove that I can.
Yeah, it was not a good day. But I got it, and I know I got to do it smart.
Yes.
And I wasn't doing it smart. Like you said, I was fighting something that day, and of course she told me, she's like, probably shouldn't. Of course I did.
That only fueled the fire. You're like, oh, hell no. Let me show you how tough and strong I am.
So, and I understand that, and I know that, but I'm like, I will get there, but I need to get there smart.
Yes.
And this was the reminder, okay, I need to be smarter while I'm doing it. Luckily, I don't have a job anymore that requires me to use my back as
there you
much.
go. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm okay where I'm at, but I'm also like, I'm not going to let it get me down.
Yeah.
I need to walk. I need to move. I need to continue. I can't
Totally.
just lay in bed and do nothing. And she's like, the whole weekend, she's like, well, I can do that for you. I'm like, I don't want you to. That's the point.
Yeah.
I need to prove to myself that I'm not going to let this injury take over everything.
Can I offer you
Absolutely
a challenge with that? So in those moments, the invitation would be to talk and say, babe, what I'm really going through right now is like all these lies and limited beliefs that have been instilled in my brain since I can remember. And it's these voices of just even my mom or other guys or whoever is telling me that I'm small, that I'm not manly enough, that I'm not going to be able to do anything, that I'm not going to be strong enough, I'm not going to be fast enough, I can't, whatever that is. And so if I'm maybe a little annoyed with you or I'm irritated or I just want to like ego lift today or whatever it is, it's because I'm trying to get rid of those voices in my head right now. I'm trying to remind myself that those don't exist anymore. And what you could really ask for is for her to just love on you more, because that's actually what you want. Like little Dustin wants to just be
100%.
like, mommy, just tell me I'm enough. Just tell me I'm strong and I'm powerful and like you're proud of me and that I'm going to be such a good man that you're going to look up to. And in that moment, like ask yourself, what is it that little Dustin needs and what is it that current Dustin needs? And that can be the invitation to like bring you guys so much closer. So when she can start to sense that you're feeling a little triggered in the gym because this trigger is going to show up for you constantly in different ways, then she can come up and just tap you. And whatever that makes you feel, come back into here. Like, babe, you're enough. You're strong. You make me feel safe. You make me feel protected. Whatever it is that you need to hear from her in that moment. And that's going to bring you back into this moment. And then you're going to come back to thinking smart, not thinking with your ego.
I'm going to have to do that next time. That is good.
That's real shit right there.
Yeah.
Because we were literally, our last episode we recorded was about remember my therapist and working through my inner child.
Yeah.
And I broke down in our last episode because anyways, we ended up circling back because I'd ended up finding out that I had a wounded inner child at like the age of 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And my daughter's 12 and she was upstairs and I was kind of looking at her and she was like, summertime, texting her friends, having a good time. And I like talked to my wife later. I was like, oh, it was so like, I don't know. I was just like tearing up and crying. And after I walked away and I was just like, it's just so cool to watch her like experience that.
Yeah.
And then I had a therapy lesson, I don't know, like a day later, and we started talking through it, and I was like, everything just hit me, and I started bawling on, and I was like crying and just being like, wow, like I was living through it. I was like watching her and being like, wow, I missed that on that, and I needed to see that to know that like I don't need to have that. We talked about also like, the thought of like being too young to lead, right? You talked about leading at 25. I've always had like good positions in corporate America. And was always told like you're too young to lead. Yeah. And it goes back to because I was told as a kid when my dad passed away at 8 or 9 that you're the man of the house. And it stuck with me forever, and I've always had that story, talked about the stories. So I love that you like did that because we talked about it and I was like, you're telling yourself a story, and he's like, I can't think about it right now. And I love that you hit that right now because
literally my mind just keeps thinking of these stories.
I love him. Like he's like my brother.
Why
now.
I'm doing what I do and the risks I take are because of the stories I was told.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. The stories become our drivers because that's a part of what we believe to be true about ourselves. Jimmy Quick says that like lies are just limited ideas that we keep entertaining. And it's just lies that we keep entertaining about ourselves. And it's because it's also people have made us believe that to be true, right? And so that's the part of your truth changing is you start to realize that isn't actually truth, but I believe that to be truth. And now what is my new truth? My new truth is that I am capable, I am strong, I am powerful, whatever that is for you, that you can provide, that you're safe, that you're a man, all those things. And it's also now that other part of that is you believing that to be true. Because I could literally walk around all day for a week behind you and I could whisper that shit in your ear and that could do nothing. Because if you don't believe it to be true, it means nothing. But you have to decide, how can I release these stories and these ideas and everything else, and then start to get curious, like, where else are these ideas the only driving force and the only reason I'm doing that? And that will start to break you open into a whole new way. You're like, nothing fits anymore because I've been doing all this shit to try to prove myself I'm a man. But now that I know I'm a man, I don't even want to do any of that.
I still want to lift, though.
That's
Well,
real.
you can still
I'll
lift.
still be there.
And I
You
still-
live for a different reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just becomes that you're not coming from this place of like, I need to prove I'm enough.
Yeah.
Because now you're coming from a place of wholeness. So now you're adding. The foundation is built. Now you can add the home. But when you're in a spot of like, I don't even know if I'm enough yet, nothing that you're building gets to sit in it. It's just sand. It just like disappears. The home can't be built.
It's probably a good portion of that loving myself that was missing.
100%.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was fucking awesome. Yeah, that was real shit right there. Real shit.
I don't have any more words right now.
I gotta say, like, how obviously you're a life coach, you've done yoga, you had all these different things and these ventures. How important is it to have somebody, whether it be like yourself or somebody like a life coach or a mentor or somebody that's been ahead of you that can like show your blind spots? We all have blind spots. How important is it to have somebody in your life that can help with those things? Because I think sometimes in life we just go through life and we're like, oh, we don't notice these things.
Totally.
God,
Yeah.
all these things have been coming to me, and I'm just like, holy fuck, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like,
Right.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? How
It's like
important is it?
driving down the street you've driven down a million times, and all of a sudden you see a house there. You're like, when has that house been there? It's like been built since 1905, but it's just that you never cared to look before.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're seeing from a different lens, and that's the power of having a mentor or a coach or a guide or whatever that word is for you. Is that they're helping you see your blind spots, and they're also they already know the path that you're on. And so they can relate to you in so many different ways. They know the thoughts that you're thinking. They know the disbelief in yourself. They know the way that you're self-sabotaging. They know the way you're beating yourself up. They know what shame looks like on you. They know what fear looks like on you. They know the things that you're avoiding within yourself. And the best coaches and the best guides and the best mentors are not going to just call it out to you, but they're going to show it to you. And they're going to help you find that truth in you so it becomes your truth, not them showing you or telling you. It's them holding the space for you to come to the light and to see it in yourself. And then from there, that's how you take your power back. So I think you can never put like all your eggs in like, or say people healed you or all these things. All it is that people are holding space for you to finally see you.
Yeah.
And so you need somebody that you trust, that you respect, and that you see. Because that's how they can help hold you to see you too. And that's all that it really takes. And yeah, I think it's vital. I think it's important. And I think that's why it's so important to invest in yourself, like with that. Like a lot of people just don't want to pay money for coaches, but it's like, then you can keep staying stuck. Mm-hmm. And you don't always have to pay money either. You can also reach out to people. Again, like I talked about that in my previous previous corporate life, is I would ask people who were better than me or that were in leadership. And I was like, would you teach me? Like, what did you do to get here? And if you ask those questions, and if you're willing to do whatever they say is what I did, they will keep teaching you. Mm-hmm. They will keep showing you. There's been so many people, they're like, can I take you to lunch? I just want to ask you a couple questions. And I always say no to that now. But I would take people and I'd be like, yeah, sure. And they'd ask me all these questions and I would literally like just give them all this advice and all these things. And here's what I did and all stuff. And then like I'd see them later and they had done nothing with that. I'm like, I just gave you the fucking book.
Right.
You did nothing. So now you're out of here. Sorry. Like you can come back. You can come to my paid events now. You can come to anything like that and you can get that from me. But now you're not going to get that time and energy from me. And now I just am I have more boundaries with all of that. But I think it's like you just need people that are going to push you and not being pushed in like a physical sense, but just push to grow, to hold space for you. And when you fall back, that they're also not going to shame you, but they're going to love on you and love you to see you. And that's what I think that's like pivotal. That's what it becomes a catalyst for you too.
Yeah. That's great.
I mean, everything you said is, especially for that last little bit about me, is true. And you could have said it so many different ways, but the way you said it made me realize, okay, that is what I am doing, is exactly that at those moments. Whether I realize it or not, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Well, I just ask you questions, right?
Yeah.
So then you're the one answering it, and then you're coming to your own
exactly.
truth. And that's what I did, like this life coaching program, and that's all he said is like, if you'll just listen to people and you're really present with them, And if you just start asking questions to help them see what you're seeing, because like we see patterns for people before they see patterns, right? If you can ask them questions for them to see that, like get that eureka moment, just like you do that with your kids probably without even realizing it, right?
Probably.
You know, and so then you start to do that same thing to yourself, and you'll start to kind of walk yourself through that path. And that's all that it takes to even help guide somebody anytime, is just being present with them and just listening and observing. And instead of, we're always sitting and waiting for our turn to talk, so we're not really listening. But when you're really listening to somebody, then you can like feel, you can see, you can hear, you can understand, you can see what the body's telling you that they're not telling you, like all these different things. And then you can just start to ask, to get curious about that. And then people can come to their own answers. And I have friends that I'm so grateful for that do the same thing to me. And they call me out in a way of calling me forward. Meaning they're not calling me out saying like, Stephanie, you're better than this, da 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 da. They're calling me forward. Meaning like, you're holding yourself back. You're not becoming the woman that you're here for. So let me call you back into yourself by asking you these questions. Like, are you living in alignment? Is that really the best thing for you? Like, how'd that make you feel? Like, you know, just, and then you're coming to your own realization. And it's just that they're holding space for you without judgment of whatever it is that you say or don't say. And they're just loving you until you see it in you too, you know?
I like that.
Yeah. I love it. God, you've laid on a lot of knowledge and wisdom and power. You know,
It's here for all the mic drops.
It's so cool. Yeah, seriously, it's just so cool to hear from somebody that's just doing a phenomenal job. You know, I obviously don't know you very well, or got to know each other today, but just hearing your presence and your energy is definitely felt.
Thank you.
I applaud you for the stuff that you're doing, and I think it's. Obviously, you talked about leading through vulnerability and helping people. I think that adds so much purpose and value to life, and I applaud you for doing that. I think it's phenomenal to take the time to help people out, and it's just I can definitely feel your energy. I can say that.
Thank you.
It's great, and I don't have much to say. I'm floored by the amount of wisdom and knowledge that you have, and obviously seeing your journey through competing and entrepreneurship and all the other things that you're doing. Yoga, that looks I'll have to give that a try.
Yeah, come to yoga anytime, you and your wife. I'd love to have you guys.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
I might have to take you up on one of these
I
Sundays.
would love it. Yeah, come. It'd be such a vibe. It's so good. It's so fun.
We really we always talk about journeys, and it's always phenomenal to hear somebody else's and how they got to where they're at, and just hearing your wisdom that you're giving everybody that's listening, and then also us. I mean, I'm gonna walk away for sure using some of the stuff that you talked about today. But we always leave with unless you have any other questions.
I don't.
Okay. We always leave with the challenge.
Okay.
For us, for each other, for the viewers.
Okay.
Do you have a challenge that I know it's off the whim, but that you could challenge them or us or whatever?
Yeah, I would say challenge yourself all week to any time that you feel scared or like, oh man, I don't want to do this, but your body's like also kind of pulling you towards it, or your heart is, or your soul is, like lean into that and just say yes to it. Even you're going to learn something from it. And that's what I have found is like that fear is just trying to show me something and teach me something. So whenever there's that fear or that nervousness that starts to show up, I just lean into it and see what it's trying to teach me. So it's like, it could be a trigger, it could be whatever it is, but like leaning into it could mean that you get over a fear, you get over a self-belief, you move through a trigger, you see the portal of it, you sit down with your kids and you share a vulnerable moment, you go to wherever you work at and you like be more in your light and in your power, and like you show up more. You go home into your relationship and you're scared to be vulnerable, but you lean into that fear and you share it anyways. Whatever that is, like when you feel that, like be in tune with that and let it motivate you and let it guide you. Like your body's always trying to guide you and your body's always trying to teach you if you can be with it. And so that's my challenge.
I love it.
Yeah.
Before we go, I forgot to ask you, what's next? What do you have next going on? Is there anything you need to promote?
So I do fitness coaching online and I teach yoga in person. And we are actually going to be, I work with a company, we're all coaches, but we're going to be at FitCon August 1st and August 2nd. And that is at the Mountain America
Expo Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So come to that. If you guys want to come, we're going to have some amazing deals for anybody that wants to work with me one-on-one or anything like that. Or you can reach out to me on Instagram. I teach yoga every Sunday at Origin Fitness. Anybody's welcome there. You can use it on ClassPass, or it's $16 to drop in. And yeah,
awesome.
That's all.
Well, cool. I appreciate you coming by. Really, seriously.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
We'll
Thanks for the
definitely
opportunity.
take you up on the origin since it's
Yes,
literally
please
right
do.
up the
It's
road.
literally down
Yeah.
the road. Yeah, 100%.
It's a little farther for me, but I'm totally down.
Yeah,
so.
come anytime. I'd love to have you guys.
But yeah, we appreciate your time. We appreciate
Yeah,
the
thank you
wisdom
guys so
and
much.
the vulnerability.
Yeah,
We
thanks for
really
the
do.
opportunity. I'm
Thank
excited.
you for coming out and giving us your time and
Yeah.
expertise. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.